Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's jump right into it. First off, let's talk about the so-so portion of the night. Basically the stuff that's not bad, not good, just there for the show. First thing we have was Stephanie and Triple H coming out and apologizing to Daniel Bryan, asking that Daniel Bryan come out and do that later, which we'll talk about his reaction at length a little bit later in the show. I don't know. I'm just so tired of these two and the talking segments that anytime they're on the air, I could care less. And it's a shame because I'm a fan of both of them, to be honest with you. Now, up next in the so-so segment, Ryback and Curtis Axel versus the Uso brothers. Not so much the match was so-so. It was an okay match. I guess that is so-so. But the fact that there was no suspension of disbelief at all. At no point did I think the Usos might lose to Ryback, and the only thing that they could have caused them to lose was if the New Age Outlaws, who were on commentary, entered the match and helped out Ryback. Usos pick up the win. Figured it would happen. I guess it helps them look better as the new tag team champions, but just really anticlimactic. Kind of like the Rusev promo, I guess. Is it really a promo if you can't understand what he's saying? Get on with it already. We've already seen him wrestle at the Royal Rumble. I don't get what the build-up is. They're building him up like he's never been on TV before, but I don't know. It's just weird. Maybe he won't actually wrestle till after WrestleMania, but it's just a weird build-up in my opinion. Last but not least, and it's sad to say, the feel-good moment, the end of the show, the Big Show and Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton Batista. I don't know. You know, I'm not saying this was a terrible match. I expected maybe better from the four guys involved. But it is what it is. It gives us our feel-good moment with Bryan standing victorious at the end of the show. I just expected better from it, in my opinion. Now we're going to transfer from that into the bad segment. Perennially making it on here, the weekly Divas shit match of the week. The Bella Twins versus AJ and Natalia. Sorry about that, folks. AJ and Tamina. Bella's pick up the win. It seems that they're going to be pushing Nikki Bella towards the Divas Championship, maybe even at WrestleMania. Rumors are that AJ Lee is being punished because of her boyfriend CM Punk. But we all know how rumors go. If rumors were to be believed, CM Punk would have been back in Chicago. Now, the only other thing I had for the bad segment was probably the worst current feud in WWE. Sheamus versus Christian in a Memphis street fight. It was just dumb and stupid, and we just seen a very similar match with Dolph Ziggler and Damian Sandow a few months ago. I don't know, man. This feud to me isn't helping either guy look better. It's not making Sheamus look like a better face. It's not making Christian look like a bigger heel. It just makes them both look inept, and looks like, it makes it look like two people that if they get in WrestleMania, it's only going to be in the Royal or the Battle Royal match. I just think it's a bad feud with two guys that could be used better. I think Sheamus does have potential, and Christian is someone that the fans like to cheer for if given the right opportunity. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our question of the week. Last week's question was, who's the first referee that comes to your mind? Before we get into my opinion, we're going to read off some of our friends. The first is from our friend Benjamin Me. Nick Patrick, his heel antics in WWE were so funny. especially at Royal Rumble 2002 when he refused to count Jericho's shoulders down after a DDT from The Rock. Next up, Renee Pastora, Earl Hebner. Next, Cyan Williams, Earl Hebner easily, but Charles Robinson is underrated. Lord Bogglesworth, Earl Hebner, seem to be forming a pattern here. Dizzle Pup, Nick Patrick, or Charles Robinson. So far we've heard 3 refs, all being mentioned over and over again. Corey McFall, Earl Hebner, he is the first. And last but not least, Yo Lion 3250. The first referee that comes to mind is Dangerous Danny Davis, who's the first crooked referee. His gimmick was a good idea, but needed to be executed better. But where do you thought they got the ideas for Nick Patrick and Little Nature Boy Charles Robinson? I agree that they borrowed heavily from that, and I remember the Danny Davis character. It wasn't bad, I just don't think he was as good of a wrestler, and they kind of had to revert back to him being a referee again, which I always thought, even as a kid at the time, I believe I was like 8 or 10, maybe when they did that whole angle, that I thought it was kind of silly that they would let him become a referee again after the whole thing with the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation and him working with Jimmy Hart. I just thought it was silly. The first person that comes to my mind is Pee Wee Moore. Now, if you're not familiar with Pee Wee, he was a referee in ECW, the skinny referee. They had 2 main referees, John Finnegan, Pee Wee Moore. Reason I'm saying this, anytime I think of a referee, they used to do this spot every so often where they would get a bunch of high-flying wrestlers, whether it be Super Crazy, Tajiri, the Full-Blooded Italians, Mikey Whipwreck, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, whoever their high aerial acrobats were at the time, they would put them in a big match and they'd have 5 or 6 people doing flips to the outside of the ring. And as everybody's seen on wrestling, it gets to be a big pile and everybody, does their move, then another guy does his move. Well, Pee Wee, he would join in and he would hit a plancha onto the wrestlers, just like he was one of them. I always thought it was the coolest thing, a cool little neat thing. I've seen other referees do similar. He was the first that I've seen it. So Pee Wee Moore, he's the guy that I think of when I think of a referee. Now, the question of the week for this week is, if you were to write a wrestling bucket list, what would be the first thing, the number 1 item on your wrestling bucket list? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments. Now on to the good parts of the night. First off, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the opening segment with Hulk Hogan and John Cena and the Wyatt family. There was something cool, and I know I've trashed Hogan, and I've trashed him coming back and his ego. There was something inherently cool about Hogan and Cena being in the ring at the same time. Kind of a bridging of the gap of the 2 generations. Not an overall fan of, the opening segment being a talk segment. I don't know, just something about it was cool to me. And it led right into a match with Cena versus Rowan from the Wyatt family. Hogan was in Cena's corner. Cena obviously picks up the win, because when doesn't he? But there was just a cool moment, especially with the both of them doing the pose down at the end. I don't know, to me, that was one of those WWE moments that are going to live on forever, Hogan and Cena in the ring together. For that, it made it into the good segment. Now, next up was Jack Swagger versus Big E. Now, the match was okay. It's nothing different that they've been doing the last couple weeks. Although the new wrinkle was that Swagger got mad at Cesaro when Cesaro didn't interfere. And when he was yelling at Cesaro, he got a roll-up. Big E got a roll-up for the win. I like the slow burn they're doing with the seeming split of the Real Americans. I think that they're trying to make it so Jack Swagger doesn't become the Marty Jannetty of the group, although we all know that's how it's going to be. Antonio Cesaro is earmarked and has the look and the style and the backing of the fans to become a major star. Jack Swagger's had his opportunities and he's blown every one of them. I believe he'll be relegated to the Zack Ryder slash Dolph Ziggler's of the world. And I know, don't hate me for giving the opinion, but we all know where they are. They're not great up in the roster. They're not, main event anytime soon. But talking about a guy that can main event anywhere, anytime he wants, The Undertaker came out to cut a promo, was interrupted by Paul Heyman, who you got to give the devil his due, guys. For him having to work with a wrestler that's there maybe 5 or 6 times to build a feud, maybe on the tops 5, 6 times, he does a masterful job of keeping us talking about Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. He does a work of art by planning the idea that The Undertaker should not even come to this match in fear of Brock Lesnar. Wonderful job by 2 of the greats in the wrestling business. Paul Heyman, spot on. Absolutely think this is at his best role as a manager, being him managing Brock Lesnar. He brings more to Brock Lesnar than he's brought to any other person he's ever managed, whether it be CM Punk, Ryback, Kurt Angle, even going back to the Dangerous Alliance days. I think the fact that he could carry the feuds on while Brock Lesnar isn't there is what makes it so special. Kind of like our next match. And the reason I think this one's special is it might be the last time we see it. After all the amazing matches they've given us in the past, we've seen the Rhodes brothers teaming up one more time versus Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Not saying it's either team's last match as a team, but I'm saying with the way it looks like the Shield's going, with them possibly breaking up and the constant rumors of the Rhodes brothers eventually splitting, this may be the last time we see this match, the Rhodeses and the Shield, which have been awesome matches over the last year. This one does not disappoint. The Shield brethren pick up the win, seem to solidify, getting back on the right track. And last but not least, you knew I had to talk about it. You knew I would leave a good amount of time. The segment of the night, one of the most creative and inventive segments that I've ever seen in professional wrestling. Hijacking Monday Night Raw, Occupy Monday Night Raw, Daniel Bryan, hundreds of fans, all gathering to the ring to demand that Triple H face Daniel Bryan in the ring, and also, if he could beat Triple H, he gets to be put in the main event at WrestleMania. It was so cool how they did this with the security wouldn't go into the ring. The fans that were in the ring kept up their energy through the whole segment. Damian Sandow coming back and walking off. The only thing I would have liked better about that is when Daniel Bryan invited Sandow into the ring, I think he should have went in and became a face. I think that would have been something great for Sandow's character. He goes in, shows his support for Daniel Bryan. It would have made an instant face, would have made him instantly over with the fans. A little bit of a missed opportunity. The yelling and screaming and frothing at the mouth, Triple H and Stephanie played their heel parts perfectly. It was a beautiful piece of art. And I must say, and I'm one of the people, if you go back a couple weeks ago, you can even watch the video I made when I was upset at what happened about the Royal Rumble. I did not have the vision. I guarantee you guys, this was the plan all along. From SummerSlam to right now, the plan was Daniel Bryan's build would get him to the main event at WrestleMania, fan backing or not, because all they've done is built his fan backing up to a level where he's on the level with a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, and whoever else you want to say. Daniel Bryan has the backing of the fans more now than almost anybody in the history of wrestling. They did a masterful job of making us believe that they were going to keep screwing Daniel Bryan over and that we were going to get a shitty main event at WrestleMania. Now we are going to see the coronation of a new era in wrestling. I'm calling it now. Daniel Bryan's walking out of WrestleMania the world champion. Why do I say that? Let's think about some statistics, some facts, folks. Who are some of your greatest wrestlers of all time? Let's go down the list. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, the Macho Man Randy Savage, the Ultimate Warrior. 4 guys. Oh, John Cena. 5 guys. 5 wrestlers that have made it to the top and have had the backing of the corporation and Vince McMahon behind them. 5 guys that you could say legitimately are either Hall of Famers or soon to be Hall of Famers, or in the case of Randy Macho Man Savage, in everybody else's mind, and who knows what the family wants to do, and I don't want to get into that right now, but he is a Hall of Famer whether he's in there or not. But think about this, people. When did they all win their first world championship? Wasn't at SummerSlam. Wasn't at the Royal Rumble. Wasn't at bragging rights. Wasn't at the Elimination Chamber. It was at the Showcase of the Immortals. The moment, folks. And I hate to bring it up because it's so controversial. The Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero moment. The Ultimate Warrior getting the torch passed to him from Hulk Hogan moment. The boyhood dream has come true moment for Shawn Michaels. The Randy Savage winning the tournament moment. All of these moments happen on the biggest stage of them all. And this is where we're going to see Daniel Bryan go from being Daniel Bryan, popular with the fans, to Daniel Bryan, megastar, one of the all-time greats. I'm not saying you heard it here, folks. Again, like I said, I did not see the forest through the trees. You could go back, go ahead and watch it. I'm not going to take it down. I stand by what I said at the Royal Rumble and how disappointed I was with the WWE. However, I believe from the moment that Triple H screwed Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam till now, they had a plan. And they've worked their plan magnificently. Kudos to them. I give them props for it. Now, we're going to go right into our ratings for the week. If you've seen the show before, we have a 1 to 5 scale. 1's a great Khali, 2's a Santino Marella, 3's a Damian Sandow, 4's a Cesaro, 5's a Daniel Bryan. Just for the moments that we had, the 2 moments on the show that are going to live on in infamy forever, Occupy Raw and Hogan and Cena, I'm giving the show a 5. There was so much good that came out of it. The fact that we're giving our WrestleMania back and the fans are going to get what they want is what makes the show so great. And this is what makes wrestling so great, folks. We've been brought on this emotional roller coaster ride, and now we're going to get to the crescendo. But basically, that's what I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.